Hi, I'm Liz. Welcome to my channel, Making It Easy with Liz. I've been requested to make more rings. So this is what we're gonna do. This is a start of a new series. We're gonna make fun, funky, chunky, beaded, wired, washered. We're gonna do it all. So come with me. It's easy, it's fun, relax, don't stress. You can crank these things out one right after another. It's fabulous, and I have a fabulous tip on how to, if you saw my other video on how to make rings, then you know how to make a great shaped ring, strong, and more precise in sizing. So let's go ahead and get started with today's project. Today's project is a washer ring. This one is made with a stainless steel washer and sterling silver wire, and I do believe this is 12 gauge wire. It's very heavy. You don't have to be that heavy. We're going to use 14 gauge copper wire today. This is a very cool ring. Let's see here. I've gotten lots of compliments on it, and I've had many of you request this. I was wearing it in my one video, and I've had lots of requests, so we're going to do this one today. It's a little more involved. You need a little more tools, like a dapping block, but it's doable, and you can buy a really inexpensive dapping block. Even the wooden one would work, I think. This is pretty heavy-duty metal, so let's go ahead and let's get started with our ring. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to texturize our washer. We're going to put a little hammered finish on it. I don't know if you can see that very well. A little hammered finish on it. So we're going to do that first, and then we're going to shape it in the dapping block. A dapping block is a block with many different little divots in it in various sizes. And when you dapple, I don't know, dapple. I like dapple. I'm going to dapple. You start off with the largest one, and you go down to the smaller one. And then there's also these little doohickeys here that you're going to bang with your hammer, and are going to, that's going to help shape it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our chasing hammer. Now this is a standard chasing hammer. This is a new one, a whammer hammer, I think it's called. Okay, so this is the chasing hammer side. This is the part we're going to do the texturizing with. And I'm just going to throw, like, I can use a wadded up towel or something else underneath this to help the noise. So we're just going to go and we're going to start banging on this. Now this is pretty strong stuff, so I really have to give it a good whack. So we're going to start by just little hammers. It's very loud. And with this, the weight of the hammer is usually enough to get it to divot, to give you your hammered finish. But with this metal being so hard, I have to add a little more effort into it. Here, very close together, all the way around. Even hammer in the inside, along the edges, and I like to hammer along the outside. Not too hard, just to bevel it a little bit. So we're just going to go in here. Just like that. So we're going to take that all the way around. See how I'm going on the outside here? That just gives it a little beveling. It kind of finishes it off. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, and then we'll be right back, and we'll put that in the dapping block. Okay, so now I'm just finishing up, going around the edge there, and I actually went into the middle and beveled that a little bit. it just takes away the industrial part of the washer. You might like that. See how pretty that is? Okay, so now it's time to put this in the dapping block. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take this away. Now we're going to start off in the bigger side first, and then if you want it more rounded or concave or convex, whichever way you want to look at that, I don't know. Then you go on to the next size, which would be this one here. It's a little deeper, but I think this one is going to be plenty. And so we're going to take this and we're going to put the textured side down, and you're just going to sort of level that in there. Okay, so I've got my regular hammer here. I just don't want to ruin my chasing hammer. So we're going to center that and give it some wax. Take it out and check it out. And see how domed that's getting? Now see, I've got a lot on this side, so now I need more on this side here. There we go. That looks kind of cool. I think that's good. So this one's a little bit bigger than the one I showed you in this ring. So that's a smaller washer, and this is a bigger washer, but I do love big chunky rings. So we're going to use copper wire on this, which will be a really nice contrast. Okay, so I think I'm going to bang on this a little bit more in the doming thing, and then we'll go ahead and get started with our wire. Okay, now we're going to get started on the ring. Now, as far as the amount of wire to use, I probably only used about 12 inches of wire on this one, and I ended up taking one of the wires and just cutting it underneath here, so it's just a short piece of wire, and then the rest was made for the shank. So we'll see what we end up with. And I'm going to pull off about, you know what, let's do about 14 inches. You can use a ruler if you want to. Now what I like to do is I straighten my wire with my rawhide hammer. When your wire's this thick, you can't use wire straighteners. There we go. Look how nice that worked out. All right, so let's see here. This is a double shank, so let's go ahead and use, listen to me. You think I'm all wishy-washy. Washy, get it? Washy, haha. I kill me. All right, we're gonna use about 18 inches of wire. Let's go for that. Let's just see what we get with that. Okay, and with your cutters, these are full flush cutters, and these handle heavy duty wire. These are the Xeron, which I will be selling on my website, makingiteasywithliz.com. I'm working on that right now. What you want to do is you want to try to avoid using your tips as much as possible on heavy duty wire. These tips are really strong, but you can snap your tips off. So when you're cutting, just cutting from the spool, you always want to cut back in the jaws. Right? That's where your power is, and that's where you'll get a nice, cool, clean cut, and it just goes through it like butter. All right. So what we're going to do now is, if you watched my other ring video, you know that I start my rings at the top of my ring mandrel, and then I scooch them on down to the size that I want. Now, this ring here doesn't have a whole lot of wraps on it. It's only got one wrap around it. So we're going to want to make this as true to the size as possible. There's not going to be a lot of banging down to stretch it, especially if you texturize the edge like I've done here. hitting that, when you put this on the mandrel and then you take your hammer and you start banging on it, it stretches it. So that's going to make it even bigger. So we'll want to make this, you know, a little bit smaller than the size we want. So let's go ahead. We're going to start at the top here. And I'm actually going to start this a little uneven because this one piece here is just going to swirl around the top and get cut off right underneath this wire here. So I don't need a whole lot on that one side. So we're just going to come around, and this is thicker wire, so it's going to be a little difficult on your hands, especially if you start hammering on it. Okay, so we're going to come around here and cross them like that. All right, now we're going to scooch it on down. And this is pretty heavy duty, but it's doable. All right, so I'm going to say I like to wear big rings on my middle finger. I need like around an 8 on my middle finger. So we're going to take this to an 8. All right. All right, so I'm 1 notch above the 8. All right, I can always stretch it and make it bigger. All right, so this is what we have. We have a double shank, and our wires are crossing on either side. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our flat nose and we're going to just bend up the wires straight up like so, and then we're going to slide our washer over them and bring that down like so. See that? Okay, so now we're going to do our twisty thing. We're going to twist. And what I ended up doing was, with this one, is I twisted one around the other. Okay, so this one here is going to twist around. Now you can twist it around as many times as you want. So I'm going to twist it around 2 times. Like so. Excuse me. Okay, now what I want to do is I'm going to cut this off where this will cover it, and this one here is going to come down like so. I'm going to bring this one around, and I'm lining it up with the edge here. And I'm going to cut it because this one's going to come around and I want it to cover the cut side of that. So flat side of the cutters towards the wire. And I'm going to go ahead and just cut that off. Okay, so this is what we got. Now, this one here, I'm going to push it down and I'm going to swirl it. Let's just, you know what, let's do something weird here. Let's just swirl this off to the side a little bit. How's that? All right, now we're going to take it off. Now this wire here is going to come around and it's going to wrap around the shank here. It's kind of long. It's kind of loose too. Okay. So hopefully we'll be able to tighten that up. Yeah, I'm experimenting just like you guys. All right, so now I'm going to cut this a little bit shorter because I don't need all this wire. Now, this is the hard part, okay? You need a lot of hand strength with this. So now we're going to take this wire and I'm going to wrap it around my shank here, and I do need the assistance of my flat nose. So we're going to bend it. Okay, and if we take it and we use it like a ratchet, I tell you, this wire is tough. This is tough. What am I using? Ooh, I am using 12 gauge. Ah, I thought I was using 14 gauge. Well, there you have it. Okay, so now I'm going to, yikes. I'm trying to tighten, so I'm pulling I'm pulling and trying to get that wire to come around. Yikes. And I'm going to cut it right where it meets this wire right here. I'm going to cut it right there. Okay, so let's move this in a little bit. Okay, so see what I have here? So I'm going to be cutting that right there. And I wrap that around. We're going to hammer on this a little bit. This is kind of loose. I'm hoping that it will tighten up. But look how cool that looks. Isn't that neat? All right, so let's go in here now. Now I can't help but use my tips of my cutters. Just do it slowly. There we go. Okay, so we're back on the mandrel now. We're going to bring it down as far as we can. And now, hopefully, with my banging around, and it'll tighten it up. So this brought this up all the way up to like a 6.5. Well, that just isn't going to work, is it? So, but once we start banging on this thing, okay, so now with my rawhide mallet, I'm going to start banging this down. And it's a whip. It's whip, whip. Turn this hand at the same time. Whip, 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 whip. And because it's a double shank and this is tapered, we have to flip it over and do the other side also. So, and I'm really hitting it good and hard. Okay. Flip it over. Now I have it almost to the 8. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take it off and I'm going to try it on. And that slides on pretty good. Look how cool that is. Look at that. Isn't that a neat ring? That is a statement piece, isn't it? And then we'll antique the copper and it'll look really cool. Okay, so let's do a little texturizing on the outside here. What we're going to do is we're going to take, and we're just going to take our ball part, and this is a metal mandrel. You don't want a plastic mandrel. And we're going to just start tapping on it. Look how that shines, glimmers. Just adds a little texture to it, a little interest. Now that has pushed that down. There's my 8 right there. So see, it's moved it down just a little bit. So I've actually ended up right where I started. Okay, I just want to So there's our ring. Isn't it wonderful? Isn't it lovely? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go and antique this in liver of sulfur, and then you can see what it looks like when it's all done. We'll be right back. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and show you how to antique this instead of you having to go back to my one video. So here I have a dedicated bowl for liver of sulfur. I wanted to do just a drop. I got a little bit more in there than what I should, but and I've got hot tap water in there. And I'm just going to plunk that in there. And I also have another little dish here of just plain water. You can put a little baking soda in that. That stops the action, but I never bother. Now, my water isn't hot as I want it, so it's going to take a little bit longer for it to darken. But I'll tell you, when the water is cooler, you have more control over how dark it gets. Sometimes I just want a nice warm tone. I don't want to have to try to clean off pitch black, because in your nooks and crannies, it's super pitch black and it's really hard to get that out, and that annoys me. But you can see it's already starting to turn. See, it's just warming up the wire. It's warming up the color really nicely. Here you can see before and after. So we'll just leave that in there for a couple more seconds here, and then we'll go to town and clean it up. Okay, our ring has been in there for about, I don't know, about 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and I've kept checking on it. Now it's just this really nice, rich, dark, warm color. So I like that, and I'm just going to go ahead and give it a little quick rinse here. Okay, we're going to use steel wool to clean it. Super fine steel wool. That's the steel wool with the 4 zeros. And what you want to do, I'll get this out of the way here, is it comes in like little pillows like this. So what you want to do is you just want to pull off a piece like so, and then you just take it and you roll it in a ball. And you want to make sure that you're doing it over something like a piece of paper or paper towel, something that you can catch all the little cuttings, the breakage. This steel wool breaks off, and it also gets stuck in the little nooks and crannies. So you'll have to take a toothbrush and water and brush it under running water, get all those little pieces out, because believe me, when it gets wet, it'll rust and it looks like crap. So we're just going to take our steel wool, and I just take it and lightly, I'm just going to bump it. Like, I don't want to scrub at it because I don't want to take off all of what I put on. And you're just going to go over it, and then it leaves it dark in the recessed areas and polishes and lightens up the high areas. And if you want to get in those nooks and crannies, you can kind of make it pointy. Get in there and give it a little jiggle. That is so pretty. What a cool ring. I am really happy with this. For those of you that like things really nice and cool and avant-garde and kind of chunky, these are great. All right, now I'm getting out of focus here. Here we go. Don't forget to do the inside. If that ends up being a little sharp there, which mine isn't, you could take a little file and file it down. Look how pretty that is. I love it. There's our finished ring. Isn't that pretty? Don't you just love it? Look how easy that was and quick. Look how fun. Oh my gosh, you could have so much fun with this. So I hope you like my tutorial. I hope you like this. I hope you give it a try. And by all means, send me photos of your projects on my Facebook page. It's Making It Easy with Liz on Facebook. Please join if you would like, and I would love to see what you come up with.